To get you all energized. Woo! I've been drinking Coca-Cola all evening. We're in trouble. Right, so I am Breda McCaig. I'm only delighted to be with you. It is really good to see so many males in this room. Fair play, lads. So what I'm about is mind mastery. If you don't know what mind mastery is, look it up. Right, hashtag mind mastery and see what you can learn, because it has changed my entire life. And I want every one of you to take something away from this, right? Everybody's in a different journey, in a different place, but some of this might just resonate with you or someone that you live with at home or whatever, right? So this stuff is life-changing if you want to use it like that. If you don't want to use it, that's fine too. I wrote this thing for you. It's called the Connection Capsule, because I think human connection is very important, something that we haven't had a lot of over the last 2 years with COVID and lockdowns and all of that, but it is super, super important to understand how humans connect and our own human connection and how that all works in the universe and in terms of our energy and our wellness and stuff like that. So, a bit about me, quiet, introverted, not. Okay, so I'm a total extrovert, but I actually do like recharging by myself. So I'm one of them weirdos that is neither extrovert nor introvert. I started Lean In. I'm from a banking background as well. I know some of you from my previous banking roles, but I started Lean In because I wanted to empower more women, right? So keep meeting all these fabulous women no matter where I go, no matter what industry I'm in, and I see that they haven't got the confidence they should have. So I can see how brilliant they are, but sometimes they can't. So I'm on a mission to teach women how awesome they are and to understand themselves. My screen, oh, there I am. Right, so joined the Irish Reserve Defence Forces when I was 17. You've heard of position of privilege, where you're in a place where you think this is all fuss and inequality is a load of rubbish. But I was in a position of privilege when I was 17. I joined the Reserve Defence Forces just because somebody told me it was the first time women were invited and allowed into it. So I rocked up and I ended up in an army uniform, wondering, what am I doing? But realised for the first time that I had been in a position of privilege. I didn't understand what all the fuss was about. But when the lads in the military barracks said to me, Breda, you know, great crack, we really like you, but you're only 5'1", spot the heels. I am only 5'1". And they said, you're not going to be able to carry the mortars, you're not going to be able to do the route marches, and you're going to end up, you know, some man is going to have to carry your rifle and you're going to fall out. You're not going to be fit for this. And I was like, oh my God, why would you think that? I'm from a farming background, folks. So everything my brothers did, I did, right? So drove tractors, did all that stuff. But it taught me, one, about unconscious bias. I want you thinking about this for yourself, right? Because if we don't know we have unconscious bias and we're in that position of privilege, how do we know what opportunities we are taking away from people around us? Right? They nearly sent me home. Only I was that stubborn, I wouldn't go. Right? And because I was told I couldn't do it, I wanted to do it even more. And I wanted to prove that they'd got it wrong and that was unfair treatment. So I had a point to prove, so I stayed. And I stayed for 20 years. And I became their first female lieutenant. So all them lads then I was in charge of them all. And I had to look after their welfare, their safety, their training, their happiness. And you know what? They had to learn and I had to learn. And the whole message here, though, is what I want you thinking about is, if you don't know you're in a position of privilege and you haven't worked on your biases, then you still have them, right? And you're doing things every day that's making somebody else's life that little bit worse off than it could be if we all started to open up minds to unconscious biases and just learn a wee bit about it in ourselves, right? And nobody can do that for you. You can do all the courses you want, but you've got to want to know this stuff. You've got to want to spot this in your thinking and see how can you improve the world for everybody around you. Because you know what makes people happy? It's serving others, right? That'll make you really, really happy if you can figure this out. Anyway, I have 3 boys as well. I joined a rock band when I was nearly 40. Nicky Banerjee's heard me play. And I play the piano accordion in a rock band. So I can be as cheesy as I like. I do the Celtic rock stuff. But I did that because, and the message there I want you thinking about yourself is, so when I was asked, coming up to the age of 40, did I want to join this band? I was like, I so wanted to say yes, but I was so afraid. I was saying no. I was like, I won't be able to do this. I won't be, you know, I was telling myself why I couldn't do it. And then I decided, hold on now. Yes, I'm doing it. And I want you to think about, what did you say no to in the past? Because I guarantee you, I coach a lot of people, right? I know what goes on in them heads. And if I sat down with any of you, I bet you I'll find loads of things that you said no to for whatever reason, right? You thought you couldn't do it, or it wasn't for you, or somebody else would be better at it, right? I want you to start becoming aware of this. Do you ever hear the term conscious thinking? If you don't know a bit about it, go and look it up, right? There's loads of stuff. You can learn all you want online about this stuff. There's so many people in the world trying to teach us these things, and yet so many of us just stay blinkered. You're not living your best life like that, folks, right? So the things that scare you are the things I want you saying yes to from now on. I don't care what they are. I don't care whether you're in work or outside work. Just program that mind for me now. Think about it as well around the people that you're influencing every day. You live in a house with people. I have kids, so I am influencing them. Kids, it's monkey see, monkey do. So I have to make sure that my behaviours are strong, confident, that I'm fearless if I want them to learn that, right? So all our behaviour, we're all inspiring somebody some way and influencing somebody. I'd rather you're doing that consciously. Every one of us here can be an inspiration to the other. Do you know that? Every one of us here can be an inspiration. But we don't see it like that. So we're limiting ourselves. One of the wee things I want us to remember is, when you hear, think outside the box. What box? Somebody tell me what box. Right? We all think there's limits on what we can do. You know, you think about work, right? Think about the brainstorming that you could be doing. Think about all the innovation you could be doing. There was never a box, right? Other people in this world go on and absolutely change the world. And some of us don't, because we think we couldn't do it, we daren't do it. You know, we're not brave, we're not courageous. You were born fearless and courageous. Day one, you arrived into the world. Baby you was fearless. You wanted fed, you cried and you demanded it. You wanted lifted, you cried and you demanded it. And now as adults, we're going around doubting ourselves. We are riddled with insecurities, right? We were brave and courageous at one point in our lives, and I want us getting back there, because that's when you'll be at your best. You'll serve the world best there, and you'll serve those around you and yourself better there. All right? Think about this for me. This is important stuff, and I want you taking it away. This is not, I don't do these things for fun. I do this stuff because I want you actually putting this into practice. I want somebody to DM me out of this room in a year going, I seen you a year ago and you changed my life. You said this or this, and it was something that I needed to hear. That happens a lot, right? So open those minds. So this is what I've written for you, is a little bit about change, a little bit about unconscious biases, then we're going to do thought processes and conditioning. Feel free to take all the pictures you want off these slides, because I want you taking them away. I want you having a look at this stuff online. Happy for you to all follow me. I try and throw wee bits up on my Instagram and my LinkedIn as I go, just to keep teaching people. Right, so change curves. I know that you guys have had a lot of change, and every company I go into is restructuring and moving, and it's all different, and that is something we need to get used to, right? But there's a process to change. So when you nail the process of change, then you can apply that to anything in your life. I'm not sure if you guys can see it over there, but there is actually step-by-step process to change. So think about COVID, easy example for all of us, right? At the start of COVID, we were all in habit, right? We were going to work or whatever we were doing. What was our patterns back then? And then COVID arrived, and everybody was like, oh my God, this is so uncertain. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is all about you need certainty. You didn't get certainty, and you haven't had it since. But you've all adapted, right? So humans are a lot more adaptable than they realise. You're more resilient than you realise. You're born perfect, right? And you're born with loads of gifts that society then makes you kind of hide. Fit in, blend in, do not stand out. I do what everybody else does. No, no, no. If you're not able to take out the quirkiness that's in you and the uniqueness, then you're not going to be able to change the world. You're not going to be impacting people the way that you are born to, right? Because every one of us here is different. There's a reason that no two women are the same and no two men are the same. It's because every one of us was supposed to be here, playing to our strengths, our uniqueness and our quirkiness. But then this whole societal thing, you know, pressure of fitting in. It has to go, it has to go. And the only way you're going to know you're doing it is spot it in your thinking. Conscious thinking, that's what this is. Anyway, you go through change uncertainty with a change curve. I want you thinking as well about personal change, right? And if you start to maybe study your own unconscious biases or start to do some personal change, it will go the same way, right? If there's a change in work, it will go the same way. You'll go through this process all the time. There'll be shock, denial, frustration, sadness and anger. Then you'll go exploring, adjusting. You'll get good at it. You'll start to integrate the change and then you'll start to excel. That's how it works. And the good news about this is that the next change you run into, you now know this is a process, right? And you'll go through the steps. So it doesn't freak you out and it doesn't level you anymore. That's the beauty of it, when you know this stuff. So make change your unacceptable friend. I was studying myself one day and I thought, how the hell have I got so good at rolling with the amount of change in my life? And I mean, we won't even go there, but my life has been rebuilt over the last number of years, right? And I have no uncertainty in my life for a long time. And yet it's not bothering me in the slightest. I actually like it. I'm such a freak. Total change nerd now. Anyway, change is inevitable, but the growth is optional, right? Your lives are going to be full of change. There's loads of things going to happen in your life. I can guarantee you that. But the choice of growth is what you will be able to decide on. Do you resist change? Do you just, really struggle with it? Do you let it stress you out? Or did you roll with it? And do you see, okay, it's going to happen to me anyway. Let me see what lessons are in here for me. What can I learn that I can bring with me so that I am stronger the next time? Every time change arrives, won't bother you in the slightest. Bring it on. Right, we blockers now. This is something that I have to teach you. And I want you, again, take a picture of this, right? Because I want you listening to tonight when you're going to bed, right? Your subconscious mind opens at night. Best time to get into it is nighttime or morning time. And this is the stuff that I do be at when I'm going to sleep and when I wake up in the morning. By the way, any of you want to try any of the reprogramming stuff, all on YouTube. I used to listen to this every night. Got fascinated by it, right? Glued to it. So playing meditations at night, your subconscious mind is opened. You just go to sleep. You don't even have to do the work. You just snore away and it reprograms your subconscious mind, right? Fear is massive in our heads, folks, right? If we have not been working on it, then I can tell you it's there. You have fear of failure. Oh, I couldn't do that because what if it don't do well? Or I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Really? Really? So what I want you to do now, from now on, right? See yourself being afraid of things. You've got to spot the stuff first, right? Because then you can do something about it. I want you to ask yourself, have I evidence in my life that I fail at everything? Because usually the answer is no, I haven't. I've managed some way to do everything fairly well. So why am I here thinking I'm going to fail at this? Negativity bias is what's going on there, right? You were wired with the negativity bias because when we were in the cave, primitive people 3 million years ago, it was keeping us alive. We were afraid of being eaten, right? You're not in a cave and nobody's going to eat you. Maybe. Well, it depends on them sandwiches, but we'll see. Fear of judgment. What will they say? What will they think of me? Oh, folks, that is so big in our heads. Oh my God. Like the amount of people I am trying to force to go on LinkedIn just to comment on stuff. Put up a post and they're like, oh, I will. And I can see it a mile away. They're afraid of what will people think. Will they think, oh, she's looking for a job, that one? Or will they think, who does she think she is? Like, who gave her permission to do that? Whatever. Guys, the same. Yet, visibility is very important to your career and your future. Right? So fear of judgment is massive. You won't do things that are going to make you happy because what will they say? Do you know what that is? That's stuff that you've listened to as a kid, right? You've heard people being talked about in kitchens all over the country, right? And that is what happens. You get conditioned to be, oh, I don't want to be that. I remember years ago, I was with an elderly lady and she said to me, we were in the car and she said to me, would you look at the walk of that one? And I remember thinking, who do I want to be? The one walking or the one sitting talking about it? And I said, I want to be the one walking. I want to go out and strut my stuff. And I want people to say, who does she think she is? Yes. Because when you get fearless enough, you won't care. And that's when you'll be at your best, honestly. You'll be able to do things you never could do when you were afraid. So fear of change, we've already touched on. Make change your unacceptable friend. The more of it comes, the more of it will bring opportunity. But you've got to be watching it like that, right? You've got to be able to see it like that. Because you don't want to be scared of it, right? Stop with the fear. Fear of rejection. Oh, what if she doesn't like me? And what if he doesn't like me? And what if I don't fit in? And what if they don't like me, right? Who cares? Line for yous. And this stuff you should be writing down, right? I don't know if you're taking notes, but take pictures of that at least. But this is the stuff you need to practice every day. Because if you haven't been practicing this stuff, then I know what you're practicing. You're taking stuff in that's negative from the society around you, right? Rejection is the best form of redirection. And it is. Because the universe might have a path for you and it's trying to get you on it, and you get rejected from stuff, right? So you go for a job and you don't get it, and you go, oh my God, they didn't like me because of that, and if I had said that, and why did they not like me, and blah, blah. And we internalize it. Do you know what that's doing? More damage. Your inner critic loves it. It's like, yeah, you're shite. Right? Rejection is the best form of redirection, and that applies to everywhere in your life and career and work, everywhere in your world that you get rejected. Because the universe is trying to get you to go in some other direction, because you weren't meant for that one. It's got a bigger plan for you, right? Remember that one. And fear of success. I know by this room we have high achievers. We need to be watching that. Self-sabotage is massive, and it's very hard to spot if you're a high achiever. And a lot of the time what you do is you think, no, I won't send that email. Or you'll have a great idea and you go, no, I better not do that. And instead of being able to push yourself into that next sphere or next piece of challenge that you're going to take on, you'll pull yourself back. Because what would they think? Right? This is real. This is what's going on every day in your heads. Self-sabotage is massive. And you'll only be able to spot it if I make you aware of it and you take this away and you start trying to see it in your thinking. Because when you can see it, you're all right. When you can't see it, you're not. Right, unconscious bias. So these are just some of them. And you see, I think what we do a lot with unconscious bias is we talk about gender, right? And everybody thinks, oh my God, we're so biased against women. Maybe so, but I think there's more to it than that we don't often get taught. So conformity bias is groupthink. So we're all in a room, right? And someone walks in and goes, I don't think they should have done that. And the other one goes, do you not? Why? And the other one goes, oh yeah, because of this and this. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, you're right. Next one comes in, same conversation. All of a sudden, you've got 10 people thinking the same thing. Where are you getting diversity of thought in there? Groupthink is dangerous, right? It'll bring you off down the path that is a very average path. Always try and watch that. What everybody else thinks is none of your business. What you think, you do the analysis yourself. Decide what you think, right? And why. And know that stuff and stick with that. Because that's where you're more valuable, you're a bigger asset to a place. Affinity bias, we like familiar, right? Your brain loves familiar. It's amazing when you start to understand this stuff. Your mind will always go to the thing that's familiar, but it doesn't mean it's always the right thing for you, right? It's fascinating stuff, but I just want you to watch, because if you start hiring people, and I've been doing this in the past, right? I've had to put teams together, and I noticed myself thinking, oh, there's a person now, they would think like me. And subconsciously, I was doing this. And then I realized, oh my God, if I don't start treating this stuff, then I'm going to hire people like me. How are we going to get diversity there? Right? You've got all these levels that are all the same. We all think like each other. We all look like each other. We all talk like each other. How are you going to be the most unique, progressive company like that? You can't be. Right? So affinity bias is one you need to start being aware of, and just watch that you're not doing that. Likability bias. So we just expect men to be more assertive and women to be more kind and maternal. That's just your conditioning, right? You weren't born with these biases, by the way, which is the other good news. It's just stuff that you've picked up of others in society as you went along. So it wasn't yours to start with, right? So you're not a bad person. You've just learned this stuff from around you. It's monkey see, monkey do. And did you know that behaviours and thoughts are very catching? So you become the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So who are you spending headspace with? Think of the conversations you have. Your mind is so amazing, you have no idea, right? 86 billion neurons are at work in those brains right now. Mad to get doing things for you. Mad to get you into a place in the world where you are at your best and most vibrant. But depending on the words and conversations it's picking up around you, it's going to influence it. Right? That's what's happening. So have a look at that now and be more conscious of the conversations that are going on around you. Social media feeds, get into them and cleanse them. Right? There's a lot of crap going into social media feeds. They're not bringing you to your best. They're not challenging you. They're not making you feel good. They're making you feel awful. Some people's going on Instagram, they're like, oh my God, I hate myself. How is that helping? Right? Get into Instagram and start learning. Right? Look up hashtag words like positivity. Look up positive mental attitude. Many years ago, in my own transformation, my own personal transformation, I ended up pulling in on a motorway on the way up from Monaghan to Dublin, going to work, and I looked up PMA. Don't know where I heard that, but somebody somewhere had written it on a post. And I found all this material that absolutely was what I was starved of. I just didn't know it. Right? Your feeds and what you're doing with them phones could be so different. Right? It's a gift, but yet everybody's saying, oh, you're spending too long on your phone. Yeah, because you're doing the wrong stuff. Right? Let's get you all going in the right direction and make that phone something that just injects you with positivity and belief in yourself. Right, halo effect. We do one good thing and everybody thinks, oh, she's brilliant at everything, that one. No, she's not. She might have strengths over here, but she mightn't be the best person for that job, right? The opposite is the horns effect. So somebody does something wrong and we go, they're rubbish, rubbish, don't take them near me, no, no. And yet they might have been brilliant at some bit of the work that we needed them for, but we are making these assumptions, right? Watch this stuff. Performance bias is just about men and women. It's funny because over 60% of men in America, CEOs, are over 6 foot in height. We think because height, I'm telling you, this stuff is just in you from you were a kid, right? But the 5'1" doll ended up being one of the best leaders in the army. But again, they didn't think that, and I didn't know it either. So just watch the way, like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. You've all heard that one, yeah? So open the cover. Open the cover. Remember that. When you find yourself seeing somebody and you're thinking something about them, open the cover. You could be totally wrong about them, right? You didn't know I was in a rock band, did you? Do I look like I was in army boots covered in sheep manure? No, right? Inclusivity. When we get this right, we get happier employees. Now, does anybody here not want to be happier? Right? You spend a lot of time of your life in work. I want you to be happier. You want you to be happier. So let's start seeing, can we be a bit more inclusive? Because all of us are different, right? And it's not about any particular minority. It's about letting people be themselves, right? Be all of yourself, bringing all of yourself to work. That's what's important. That's what makes people happy. Anyway, 35% of teams outperform when they are a good mix and everybody feels included. Like, you don't need me to tell you this. You know that, right? If you walk into a place and you feel like you're welcomed and you're invited and your voice is important, then you'll be happy. But all of us are doing that for each other. So could we do it a little bit better? All of us, right? Anyway, have you ever felt left out? Think about when you walked into a group, whether that was a bar, which is where I usually go, but anyway, where have you gone to that you felt, oh God, this is not for me, right? And did it feel good? Do you think you would have brought your best self there? Right? So think about that. Every one of us has the power to make people feel included around us. And every one of us needs that. I need to feel included. You need to feel included. Let's see, can we do a better job on that as human beings? And always remember as well, your differences are your greatest strengths. Did you ever hear that one before? Your differences are your greatest strengths. Is that the way you see it, though? Right? Because I don't think, unless we've worked on our unconscious biases, I don't think we see it like that. I think we see other people as different to us, and that familiarity bias that I showed you kicks in. And we go, oh no, I don't understand. No. Right? Your differences are your greatest strength. When you start to work on that, and you get people to bring their differences and their unique way of thinking, that's when you're winning. You have a magic team. And I have seen teams that were magic before, and I can tell you, every one of us felt included. We were all crazy. Everybody was allowed to be as crazy as they wanted. We were amazing as a team. Amazing. Nobody felt judged. So that is the ingredients, and every one of us has the power to do it. This is not something that you have to buy from somewhere. This is every one of us as humans. Okay, so mind mastery. This is where we get into a bit more of the technical stuff. So think of your people around you at the minute, right? Who are you really? Right, so you're a mix of emotional intelligence, a mix of self-awareness, unconscious biases, diverse backgrounds and experiences, communication styles and desires. Some people love emails, some people hate them. Some people love doing stand-up, some people hate them, right? We all want something different. We're working on a piece of work and I want something out of it, you want something different. We are trying to put all of that together. So when you start to recognize that everybody is coming to these things and pieces of work from a different place, open your mind. Open your mind, right? And see, what can I learn from this person? Because everybody you meet has something they can teach you. But are you open-minded enough to let that happen? Because sometimes we're not. And we lose out big time. Big time. We could be better. It's not a sickener. We could be better. We could be a more successful company if we were able to get those minds opened more and encourage all of our people to speak up more and tell us what they think. That's where it needs to go, I'm telling you. Okay, so working mind. This is a process. Can you spot? I love processes. I think it's easy for us, right? We're in a corporate world, we're used to process, right? So let's learn them like that. So every time that there's an event or observation, what happens with your mind, thoughts kick in and so do emotions. Right, so that nearly happens simultaneously. So you're listening to me now, right? Some of you will be going, load of shit. Some of you will be going, I just love this. In a meeting, think about the meetings you've been in, right? Think of the stuff you've been going, that'll never work, right? Or, there's loads of stuff goes on in our heads when we're observing or we're part of conversations. Even watching the news, right? You'll have thoughts and emotions, they'll kick in at the same time. But what happens then is you make decisions, assumptions, and you have behaviours. And you know what they lead to? Your results, outcome, reputation, and your brand. Right? So let's work our way backwards. So what do we want our results, outcomes, reputation, and brand to be? Think blue sky for me, right? What would amazing look like to you? So you, but a unicorn version. Somebody that just you are fascinated by, that you think is awesome. Right? And work your way back. Next time you're in a meeting, you're in a conversation, something like that, and you're having thoughts and emotions, I want you to stop, right? Pause. You have 5 seconds max to put your reactions on ice. Before you do anything, before you send an email, before you say to a colleague, that was a load of, or you don't send an email, or, you don't say something that you should say. You have 5 seconds max. Any of you follow Mel Robbins? If you don't, go and look her up. YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. Mel Robbins is fab. But she teaches people about this 5-second rule. And that is the maximum time you will be able to hold before you've reacted, right? Now, perspective swaps. You all have a perspective on life, right? And when you're observing and your thoughts and emotions are kicking in and you're about to do something, it's your perception of what's just happened that you're about to react to. What if you swapped your perspective for somebody else's perspective? Now, think for me right now, who is the most impressive person you know? Who do you admire? It could be in your industry, they could be mentors, they could be, famous celebrities online, somebody that you think is just amazing and you just love listening to them and watching them. What would they do in this scenario? So that's what a perception swap is. Before you've reacted, you put your thoughts on ice and emotions and you think, what would someone else do to get better outcomes, results, reputation and brand? I'll do that instead. And start practicing that, right? That's what you call conscious thinking. Because you're not doing it subconsciously, you're doing it consciously. And you get better and better and better at it. And then your results get better. Brand, reputation. And then you look back and you go, whoo. Right, subconscious mind and conscious mind. We have an old style computer on this. Remember when we used to have the CPU under the desk, the big block? And we used to have all the data in there, so you'd save it all off and save it all off. And your desktop and your keyboard would literally just be the piece of tech that takes the questions in, the emails in, but all of the stuff would be saved into the CPU. Your mind is a bit like that, right? So conscious mind is what you're using right now. Your conscious mind is going all day. You're assessing stuff as you come across it. Your senses are flat out all day, right? Your senses, you have 6,000 thoughts a day. Like, it never stops. When you start studying minds, you're like, I never knew I had this. The best piece of tech you'll ever have is your mind. Do you know that? And it's 3 pounds in weight, and it can do anything you want to dream about. It can do it. But you need to know how to work it. We don't teach people that in school, right? So when people don't understand their own minds, they get a bit lost. Then we've got loads of people that struggle with anxiety and depression, but if we could teach them some of this stuff, they could manage it a wee bit better for themselves. But we don't, for some reason. Anyway, your subconscious mind was programmed by the time you were 5, 6, or 7. So now for me, think about the people that you were around back then, right? The entire environment that you were in when you were that young age, because you were monkey see, monkey do, right? And you were just picking up behaviours and thoughts of people that were around you, teachers, communities, parents, aunties, uncles, relations, friends, the whole lot, right? You were not emotionally mature to know what to pick, so you just literally absorbed. Right? And that's what's in your subconscious mind. That means that if the people that were around you at the time maybe didn't have massive self-belief and didn't think they could take on the world, that's what you got. So that's in those subconscious minds. The reason that's causing us problems is because our conscious mind, so I say to you, I have a good job for you, I think you'd be brilliant at that, and your subconscious mind goes, oh no, right? Your answers are coming from your subconscious mind. Somebody insults me and says, but I didn't really like that. My subconscious mind might go back to my insecurities trigger, right? And I might think, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm whatever. If we do not understand what's in our subconscious minds, we're goosed. How are you going to fix that? How are you going to get to a place where your confidence is rock solid and cannot be shaken? Wouldn't that be a nice place to be? Right? Where you believe in yourself to the extent where you don't care what other people think or say to you. Believe in yourself, right? Because when you don't believe in yourself, others won't believe in you either. Anyway, all of this stuff is in there. So we've picked up beliefs on self-worth and self-value, confidence. Our long-term emotional memory is massive. As a kid, if you did not feel seen or heard, then you're still holding that long-term emotional memory in there in that subconscious mind. And that can trigger you at times. Right? And you might not know what's triggered you, but that's sometimes what it is. And then there's a whole piece of therapy that you do called inner child work. And it's amazing. It's amazing. But I'd rather we didn't have to do it, but a lot of us do. And unless we start rearing kids different, then we're going to have to keep doing this. Views on abundance. Oh, don't get me started. Abundance blocks. Who here has a Ferrari and a yacht? Right? What happens is what you think you deserve is what you create around you. Whether you like it or not, your life experience day to day is a direct result of what you think you deserve. Now, why do some people buy their own island, right? And I didn't, right? Why do some people in the world think that they deserve the best that exists? And why do some of us not? Conditioning, subconscious minds. That's all it is, right? You have abundance blocks. It's amazing, right? See, as a kid, you've heard things like, oh, I can't afford that, or do you think I made the money? Or you've also heard things like, oh, they're filthy rich, or they're rolling in it, right? And all of that is telling you, stay poor. Poor is where it's at. I need to be humble. I need to work really, really hard. I need to be a martyr. I'm telling you, that is actually what happens. When in fact, the world around you is abundant in every way, right? Why would you not want the best for yourself in terms of relations, in terms of work, in terms of experience, in terms of day-to-day life, in terms of Ferraris? Why would you not want that? Why not you? Right? It's just conditioning. But at least you know that that's what it is now. And then you've a choice to make on whether you want to go for something a bit harder, because it exists. It's available. Integrity levels, your views on right and wrong, your ego and sense of entitlement, right? So if you've ended up conditioned with an ego, a toxic ego, then you think you can't learn anything and you think everybody else is wrong. Now what's going to happen there is you're going to cause problems around you quite a bit. And you're going to cause destruction and you're not going to learn anything. You can't be brilliant if you're carrying a toxic ego and a sense of entitlement. Remember that one. It'll cause you problems. So start working on some of this stuff and see, can you see this stuff in your thoughts and your day-to-day thinking? Core emotions, emotional intelligence. Which uses following emotional intelligence online? Who has hashtag emotional intelligence in their Instagram? One. It's probably all mine. But emotional intelligence, folks. If you want to be a good leader, then you need to know this stuff. You will not be able to lead people if you don't understand this stuff. If you want to be brilliant, You need to understand this stuff. Emotions are your clues. Right? We should all want to be leaders. You don't need leader, by the way, in your title to be leading. You can influence people if you know what you're doing and you have empathy. Okay? So emotions are your only clue to understanding what's in your subconscious mind. That's why they're a gift, not a problem. So people think, oh, I got emotional. That's a good thing. There was a clue in there. Why did you trigger? Right? Watch those emotions. It's the only way you can pull the threads back to figure out what's in your subconscious mind that mightn't be serving you and serving others and that you might want to replace. It's the only way to do it. I can't give you a pill. I can't give you an easy way. It won't happen overnight. You have to do this. Suppressing emotions, right? We've taught a lot of boys when they were younger not to cry, to man up, toughen up, all that stuff. When we tell people to suppress emotions, you're doing them no favours. You're teaching them something's going to lodge in them because emotion does not evaporate, unfortunately. It'll stay with you. It'll either lodge in your body or it'll lodge in your mind. It'll appear somewhere later in life. You have to learn how to express emotions. All men and all women have a full suite of working emotions. So you need to learn how to handle them because then you can be good at it, right? Instead of, I suppose, a victim of it. So suppressing emotions is dangerous. Expressing emotions, you can either journal, write them out. I have a success journal in my phone. It's a draft email. I want all of you to start this. And I want you to write in there what you're proud of. What did you achieve you didn't think you could achieve? Then I want you to do difficult emotions draft email. And that's where you're going to journal how you feel when things get tough, right? Because not everybody has a good day all the time. So you need to understand this stuff and be able to unravel it for your brain. Writing and words is how your brain will work best. See all these fleeting thoughts we go around thinking? Forget about it. They're a waste of time. You'll be thinking about it again next week. So there you go. That's how you express, right? So try to validate your thoughts. Catastrophizing. We are devils for it, right? We think, oh, Jesus, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster, right? Really? Where is the evidence that everything you do is a disaster? You don't have it. Negativity bias is playing tricks on you. Marissa Peers is another one you have to look up. And she has written a book called Tell Yourself a Better Lie. I want you to look at her up. Marissa Peers is amazing. Amazing. So if you're telling yourself you can't do it, for me, tell yourself you can, right? Tell yourself a better lie. Okay, so 3 things. If you want to be successful, having studied so many people, this is what you have to do. You have to have visualization and clarity. Who here has a vision board? One vision board. Right? Vision boards are important because your mind will work so much easier when there's graphics, pictures, and words. That's why we do vision boards, right? Mastering your fears. So the 3 things you need to do: get the head some pictures and words and let it imagine that you have that kind of lifestyle, right? I want the Ferraris and the yachts up on them vision boards to push you out of the sort of average zone and into the blue sky thinking, because that's where things start to change. You must master your fears because your fears will keep you stuck, right? We're full of innovation and curiosity and creativity to hear, and then we have a blanket of fear that holds us stuck. And then the last thing is celebrating your small wins. Every time that you manage to get something across the line that was tricky or hard or you didn't think you could do, you need to take a moment. I am a legend. Who is talking to themselves like that, right? Usually it's like, I just totally winged it. No, you're a legend, right? Tell yourself a better lie. And here's just some quotes I want you to take away and think about, right? Because quotes are brilliant at testing your thinking. And you'll see some insights there in yourself. This is called introspection, where you start to study yourself. Start to understand yourself. And then you can make it better, you see. And go bigger and bolder. So aim for the moon and you will land amongst the stars. See when you go blue sky. And that's a hard thing for humans to do. I spend my time pushing people out of comfort zones. Blue sky, blue sky. If it exists in the world, then you can do it. Why can you not, right? But you've got to go blue sky enough that you'll come in just under it. If you don't aim for blue sky, global scale, just amazing, best in class that ever existed in the world, then you won't get there, right? You'll coast. You'll be average. Who wants to be average? We're only here once. I'm not going to be average, and I don't want you to be average. Why not you? Watch that thinking, right? When you start talking yourself out of something, and it can be very small things, right? Watch what you're doing when you're on your own. that's where you'll get, it gives it away. When you're on your own, you'll be talking to yourself going, that was a load of crap, or I did that wrong, and look at the state of this place, and blah, 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 blah. And there's a whole, like, you want to see what goes on in our heads when you start studying this. I want you to stop and go, no, why not me? Why would I not want to be the most awesome version? I'm only here once. I'm going to change my thinking. I'm going to go for it, right? Start with what you have, where you are, and how it is. Because everybody says to me, oh yeah, I'll do that next year. No! Do it right now, in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the mess, right? It'll never be perfect. You will never get a better time to start this stuff than right now. This is an opportunity, right? Pure fluke, I've landed here. There might be something I've just said there. I want you to take it and run, and I want you to make it happen for yourself.